Here we are, just outside the castle of Babblot, where King Berkey and his little Jester badger like to stroll around, looking at board games that were planted in the years gone by, and seeing which of these are still standing in the woods of Evergreen.
Ha ha ha! The woods of Evergreen are in the kingdom of Babblot, and we love the woods of Evergreen because there are glorious games from yesteryear in the woods, along with colored glasses. Oh, look at this. The court jester is making a funny.
I'm making a funny technical thing with a glass and a camera and liquid.
Hey, how you doing there, Sir Badger?
I'm doing very well, my Royal Highness Berkey. King Berkey.
King Berkey. Yes.
Yes, we both look very snug in our lovely jumpers. Must be cold where you are and cold where I am. That's what I can say.
I am Gandalf the White.
Yes, welcome to the show. This is a shorter podcast where we're just going to talk about games which came out in the year 2017. We're each going to state three of our favorite games, which we believe are evergreens, games that probably we're going to still be playing for another God knows how many years, probably till we drop or till, the board game gets replaced by something else, maybe.
Till we drop. I tell you what, when you look at that list of 2017, and that's a crazy list.
Oh, yes.
There's a potload of games that are on that list that many of them that I haven't played that are incredibly highly rated. In fact, some of the highest rated games on Board Game Geek.
Yes. Not our sponsor, but...
Not our sponsor, no.
But a site we like to use a lot.
Well, I always, we talked about this before the show, but I always have such a hard time finding this list when we're going to do this, because it's a little tricky. You have to go up into the search bar and just click on the search bar. Then it comes down, a little drop down says advanced search. Then you can go and click in a date range and go 2017 to 2017. You don't have to fill in all the other fields. And then it pulls up this glorious list of all the games in 2017. And look at this list. This is Barry's got it on the screen here. Crazy. But look at number one. And we're going to go through a bunch of these, but or we're going to talk about a few that we think. But number one came out in 2017 is Gloomhaven. That is like huge.
Yep, it's the number one game on Board Game Geek, followed by the fifth game on Board Game Geek, which is Twilight Imperium 4th Edition.
Amazing. Gaia Project, Too Many Bones was hugely successful. There's a potload of games, and this list is long. How many total games was there on 2017? Did you see the bottom number there?
No. There's 50 pages, and each page is 100, so 50 times 100. Anyone? 50 times 100?
50 times 100. 50-100.
50-100.
50-100.
There you go. These are some of the ones from the bottom.
That's like 5,000 games, dude.
Yeah, but a lot of them are promos and expansions and...
True.
Tweaky. Again, there's Wings of Glory. There's one of the planes from Wings of Glory because they all bring out these little booster kits. So,
and quite a few expansions in there too. Like I didn't select any of them that were expansions from a game that we've already talked about that came out. There's some that maybe could be worthy. I don't know.
That would be his own list. I mean, I know that there's the expansion for Jamaica, which came out in 2017, which I highly like. So
yes, and we got to play together.
Yes. Oh, why can't we play together all the time?
I know. We better get back on Board Game Arena sometime.
Yeah. have to find that window of opportunity.
Yes, a window of opportunity. So with that, let's jump right into our list. I will defer to the court jester, Sir Badger, to bring out his first game from 2017 that he feels is an evergreen.
Okay, my first game. Oh, that's you.
Yes, lovely.
That's me.
Not so much.
There we go. My first game is a game which is a what's the word? It's an abstract game. It's really an abstract game, and it's green, which is my favorite color. And it's Photosynthesis, which is a game for 2 to 4 players where you are basically growing trees. That's all there is to it. But it fits the theme, and the mechanics are just well integrated together. So you are growing trees in an arena. There's a sun which moves around, which will cast a shadow on your trees. And as you can see, there are 3 types of sizes of trees. There's a small, medium, and a large. And the larger your tree, the larger your shadow. And what will happen is your trees will grow if you spend energy on them. And they will also catch sunlight. So if you have a size 3 tree, which is in plain sunlight, you're going to get 3 energy, which you can then spend to either throw seeds around the board so you can start growing another tree, or you can use it to do other things. Like, it's been a while since I played it, so excuse my bad explanation of the game. Aesthetically, it's beautiful because it's mainly greens and reds and blues, and it's trees. But again, as I said, this is an abstract game, and it could have quite easily just been columns. You know, like what's that game with columns in it? There's with 3 sizes of columns. But as I said, it's just such a beautiful and a mind-bending game as you think about where the sun is, if your tree's going to catch sunlight, and then obviously you got the sad decision to make of killing your tree when it gets to its full height. Do you want to remove it from the board so it won't absorb any energy? But at the same time, you're going to get points for wherever it's located. And you'll get to take a point token. And these point tokens are in little piles, which will get smaller and smaller as the game goes on. So as other players are taking these point tokens, you may have had a chance to get 15 points, but now you've only got a chance to get 13 points. There's lots of things to think about. The game plays very fluidly. It's very quick and easy to understand. And it's just a beautiful game. And there's an expansion coming this year as well, or next year, I can't remember. So I'm looking forward to picking that up and adding it into the game and playing the game again, because it's been so long since I played this game. But it's definitely worth playing.
Yeah, we've played that several times, and it's really interesting, all of those seedlings that you have and how you have to kind of manage that and think about when that mechanism of that sun moving around the board and how the shadows change. And then, like, okay, is it time for me to get rid of that big tree so it's not shadowing my smaller tree?
Yeah.
And there's a trade-off, and it's like, you have to kind of think ahead a little bit to know how that sun's going to move. And then you've got your opponents trying to grab those spots.
Yeah. And
you're trying to manage those seedlings too. So there was another little component that I'm forgetting right now that something's in my head about that allowed you to cancel something, or do you remember what I'm thinking about?
No, I don't remember anything canceling anything.
Well, the seedlings, and maybe it was to be able to move into a space or something.
Yeah.
But yeah,
basically, you can spend an energy to drop a seed from a tree, and obviously the taller the tree, the further the distance. So you can block like the outskirts of the board, which is good because they are the places where the sun is definitely going to catch, and then you'll collect energy. Whereas if you're in the middle and there are trees on the outside, they're not going to get a chance to catch the sun. So there are pros and cons to having trees on the outside of the board, whether it's inside. Whereas inside, if you destroy your tree when it gets to its full height, you get more points. So
right,
yeah,
and it's a nice production too.
Yes, from Blue Orange. I was very surprised. I think there's a deluxe version as well where they have plastic trees put into it as well. So they're solid instead of these 3D cardboard sliced together trees. So
hey, Trent Turner is here. My good friend that we didn't get to see at BGG Con this year. Trent is always helps us out at our booth at BGG Con down in Texas. And miss you, brother. Good to see you.
Yes, Baldric. So that's one of my 3 evergreens, and it kind of fits this. It's about being an evergreen photosynthesis.
And it's rated pretty highly on the list for BGG.
Yes, it is. Yeah, its overall ranking is 481.
Yeah, not bad.
Yeah.
Well, my game is a very highly touted game that got a ton of exposure. They've even made a really large deluxeified version of this game. I got a lot of publicity and it was hard to get for a while. But this is the game Azul from Plan B Games.
Ooh.
And we have John is in Babblot as well, joining us for the woods. Merry Christmas to you as well, sir.
Ho, ho, ho. You're supposed to do a ho, ho, ho. There you go.
Yeah, we're going to have to do a Christmas special, brother.
Yeah, definitely.
So this game is called Azul from Plan B Games, and this has an abstract feel as well. It's a tile laying game that you're actually pulling these tiles out of the bag, and then you're going to put these in combinations where the tiles are going to line up in a column or in a row. And if you place them adjacent to them, you're going to get scoring depending on how many. If you have 5 of them, you're going to get 5 points versus if there's 2, you're just going to get a couple points. But then it can go the other direction and you can get extra points for that. The trick is at the beginning of each turn, you're going to, there's going to be a set of, I think, do they call them casinos or no, factories, where all these tiles get laid. They're 4 on, so there's kind of a drafting mechanism where you get to choose from one of these factories which tiles you're going to take. Well, you want to take ones that are maybe 2 or 3 of them on a tile so that you can fill up a row. But for instance, you see there's a 1, there's 2, 3, 4, and 5 spots. Well, you can never go beyond that. And so if you have any that you can't use that you pick up, they go down into this track on the bottom, which gives you negative points. So you have to be careful about that drafting. Towards the end of the round, that gets very significant because there's only certain things that are left and your competitors are trying to fill their rows and they can see what you're doing. So they're going to, possibly hate draft and maybe take something that lets you get stuck with like 3 of the yellow tiles that you've already placed in that particular row. Because if you've placed something in a row, you can't put another of that same color in that row. It's really challenging. There's a little bit of a set collection thing also for extra points at the end of the game. If you have 5 of any one color tile throughout the tableau there, you're going to get an extra 10 points, I think it is. If you get a full column down the row, well, how many points do you get for that column?
The column across is 2 points.
2 across, but the row, the column down, is it 5? Or is
it's 5, yeah. Or 7. 7, yeah. Sorry. 7, and then 10 if you get a full set of 5.
Yeah. And then you got subtracting, and you also, there's a starting tile that if you have this, let's say that you took 2 of the red tiles off of a factory and that left like a blue and a yellow. That blue and yellow goes over to a general pile. Well, the first one to take from that general pile of like sets, so if there's 3 reds in there, you got to take all 3 of them. Let's say that you did that. If you're the first one to pull from that general pile, which can be really advantageous, you get the first player marker to start the next round, but it's also a -1 point. So there's a little bit of a, and that those negative points are cumulative. Getting 1 tile down in that track on the bottom, not that big a deal. But getting 4 or 5 of them, they accumulate where it's -3 points, -6 points, -10 points. I remember one time I got a -15 because I got stuck with like 5 things. And boy, talk about your ears getting red.
Yeah.
The thing that I love about this game is it's so accessible. It's super easy to teach. I can bring this out to non-gamers that can just grab a hold of the concept of the game. And yet there's lots of really interesting choices. I know there's several variants of this game now that's come out that I haven't even tried yet, but this one is just beautiful. It's very nice tactile feel to it. It's easy to teach. It's reasonably easy to play. And every time we bring it out, it's just family fun. My wife loves to play it. It's not a heavyweight game by any means, but there's lots of choices and a really great game. Azul by Plan B Games.
Yeah. There's four versions now, I think. Yeah.
I want to try the new one.
The Summer Pavilion, Crystal Mosaic, and Queen's Garden.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. Cool.
You want to play?
All right. Number 2 for you, sire.
I'm glad you skipped straight into number 2 because I was going to say how much I don't like Azul. Yeah, but I agree. It's an evergreen. It's an easy game for people that can jump into and play. I've taught this game quite a lot, but I always find that the drafting can, you can plan out what you want to draft and everything, but it takes a novice to come along and screw you up and screw you over. And that's the most annoying thing about the game. It's vicious. Even when someone who doesn't know what they're doing does something and it screws up everything, and just you can lose very drastically. But anyway, yeah,
I think you're right, and I have noticed that there can be a little bit of a swinginess, like you say, if you have newer players. But if you have a group of people that have played it several times, the score seems reasonably tight, because everybody's kind of watching out. But yeah, it can have a lot of take that if you're not paying attention. And then, like you say, someone can take the thing that you really needed and it screws up your plan that round.
Yeah, even though you've planned out that you think that they want the red ones, so you think, okay, they're going to take the red ones because they're going to finish off that, and then that'll leave you the black ones. But then they take the black ones, and it's like,
why are you taking the black one? You don't need the black one. It's because you need the black one.
Yeah, you've screwed me up now. I'm going to take -5 points. And they go, oh, I didn't know. Sorry. And they're honest and sincere about it. And it's like, God.
Right?
But I think next time if you come over here or we go over there, we'll play it. Because Aurora, my wife, she loves playing this game. So
she likes it. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Kabuki Kid is here. Hello. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Thanksgiving, everything else.
Okay, my second game.
Number 2.
Excuse me. My second game, which I love from 2017, is Outlive, which was a Kickstarter game from the company La Boîte de Jeux. It's a worker placement game. Worker displacement game, to be precise, where you are in charge of a team of survivors from a nuclear apocalypse, and you'll have 4 teams on a board, and you're going to be shifting them around, and you can't place one team in a space where another one of your team are, and so you've got to think ahead of where you're going to move and what resources you want, because each space will contain resources, or it will contain wild animals that you can hunt to get food, or there may be a city which you can scavenge. And again, there will be the other players' teams in there. And each of your team has a number of people, and this is your force and how many actions you can do on your turn. So as you're moving around the board, you're going to be going, okay, I want those resources, but they've got a team there, which is stronger than my team. So if I go there, they're going to aggress me and I'll have to fight them. And the fight is pretty simple. You lose if you're weaker, and so you'll have to give over a number of resources. But your team size, again, allocates how many actions you can do on your turn. So if you have a team of 4, you can do 4 actions. So you might recuperate 4 bottles of water, or you might collect 4 microchips, which are used for technology and repairing things. Or you may be able to hunt a monster, which is a level 5, by spending a bullet to build your level from 4 to 5. And that's just one aspect of the game, is the worker displacement as you move around the board to your locations, picking up bits and pieces. The other part of the game, apart from collecting and repairing things, is working on your base. Now, if you've ever played the game Fallout or a Fallout Shelter, you'll know what I'm talking about. You'll have a base. That's the second part of your game. All your resources will go to your base, and you'll be using those resources to keep your people alive, to recruit more people to work in your base, and build rooms, which will give you bonuses and power-ups for things like getting an extra water every turn when you go to the dam, or being able to hunt a bit better, whatever. So the game is in 2 halves. You have this worker displacement, moving around, collecting stuff, and then you have this base building and looking after your people. And every round gets harder and harder because there are these events which are happening. And each event can be resolved by a player if they spend a bucket load of resources, which will give them end of game points. And that's basically the game. It's really, really it's kind of light, but at the same time there's this nice heaviness to it as you're building up your base and filling that up and creating, you know, this machine to help you along in the world.
It looks like it has kind of an engine building type of aspect, and looks like there's a lot going on there.
There's a lot of components, because all the resources that you're going to be collecting and all the tiles, and there are objects which are broken, which you can repair. And if you combined a couple of them together, they will give you extra bonus points at the end of the game. There's a lot of little things going on here, there, and everywhere, but it all fits together quite easily. And after you've played the first round, the second, third, fourth, and fifth and final round will be quite evident and simple. It's just this, you know, working out what's going to be the best thing for you, what's the best things to take, and that's where the puzzle is, basically. And again, working around the other players. It's not that violent and vicious. There can be a few scuffles, as you know, as I said, your different team sizes interact with each other, but it's very rare and very far in between.
Yeah, it looks really interesting.
Yeah,
I haven't played it. I haven't really heard a lot of talk about it, but it seemed like when it came out, there was some noise about it.
Oh yeah,
but I don't really remember a lot of information about it.
Yeah, it's doing pretty well. It's 706 on the overall ranking. But it's a nice game. It's got I've got the deluxe version, which has all the really super nice components.
Okay.
And there is an expansion, which I haven't played yet, which puts a underwater base in the middle of the board. So there's like an extra space. So normally there's 8 spaces around the board, but then this will add a 9th one, and you can do extra things and bits and bobs. But yeah, I really love this game. It's the theme, the mechanisms, and all the little moving parts of the game, which make this pop for me. I mean, it's not going to be everybody's cup of tea, but it's a game that I am going to be playing even after the nuclear bombs drop. So I'm going to take it with me in the shelter.
There you go.
This is how we should build our shelter.
Kabuki Kid, poor animal. I see his head mounted on Barry's wall.
He's okay.
Yes, and happy Hanukkah as well. Yes, that sounds really good. Number 2 for me is a game that came out from a smaller publisher, but from one of my really dearly beloved friends in the hobby. Daryl Andrews is the designer of this game, and I love Daryl. I have a super fun story about Daryl. If I have time, I'll share here. But he worked with Ben Harkins from Floodgate Games to produce this game. And this game is called Sagrada. Sagrada, you're basically building these stained glass windows, and you have this little interchangeable card, tableau, player board, whatever you want to call it. But you get to insert a particular card into this that has different colors on it. And then you have all these dice. And what's interesting about it is these dice, you can't place the same color right next to one another. Now, there's some end game player objectives that each person's going to get. There's also a drafting pool of these dice that get rolled each round, and they go up. And so each person is selecting these dice, and you're going to get different amounts of points depending on what you're doing with these. There's a fair amount of variability in the game. Each time you play the game, it's going to be different. You get 2 of these cards, and they have different little pips on the bottom of the cards, I think from 2 to 5, if I remember. Maybe it's 3 to 6. Anyway, the highest amount of pips have the most difficulties, but give you the most rewards. Mm-hmm. Generally, as a new player, it's better to start with a little board player card that might have 2 or 3 pips. Yeah, I think it's 3 to 6. That I'm thinking about it. But you can see how that card slides right underneath there. And then it gives you all these different possibilities. The only knock that I have on the game, sometimes it can be a little brain burny, almost like AP. Like, if I put this one here, that means I won't be able to go in this row, which I need to get my points for my card and game scoring. And so I got to do something else, and you're trying to figure that out. And then somebody may take the color of die that you need, and then you have to recalculate or rethink about that. It's not overly complex, but it's so accessible. It's so easy to teach this game. My wife loves this game. What it was really cool about it, we were able to take this game out of the box and actually put it in a small Ziploc bag to go camping with. Oh, well. Excuse me. Or to go on an airline with. And so we were actually able to play this right on the little trays on an airline. No game toppers for planes yet. So we should do that, but maybe not. It's very innovative that way. Kabuki Kid makes the comment that Role Player has some of the same qualities too. And I agree. It's got a little bit of that. Okay, if I put it here, then I'm going for this. Mm-hmm. And you got to adjust your strategy as such. And it is a little bit AP producing depending on how intense you are about your gaming. I tend to not overthink things too much and just kind of go with it. My wife doesn't overthink it much either, but I have some other friends, they play it and they just, they're just, no, do I do this? I find that the scores are actually pretty close. It's beautiful production. And I think Ben has done a fantastic job from Floodgates. There's an upgrade expansion to this game now. This is one of Daryl Andrews' hit games and became very well known. He's designed tons of games, but this really was a big feather in his cap.
Yeah. I've never played it. I've always liked the look of it, and now you've compared it to Role Player, and I've played Role Player. It's just something that I definitely want to check out. I think it's probably going to be better than Azul.
Yeah, no. I think you'd enjoy it. Your family would enjoy it. Yeah, it's accessible. It's pretty. It's a lot of good decisions, and you got to think through it. But you can play this game in a half an hour. Oh, so and it's definitely not as deep as Role Player. I like Role Player a lot. I think it's really great, but it has that puzzly aspect, and that's what Trent just mentioned. I like that kind of thing. And so for that sake, it's my number 2. I think it's going to be around for a while. Good. Yeah, hope so. It's still one of their top selling games. I want to buy it now. Ben has produced quite a few games. So yeah. And I think you can pick it up for $30 or so. It's not real expensive. Yeah, I'm going to have to look out for it. Yeah. I have to remember to look out for it.
I don't remember seeing it on anybody's shelf that I know. That's the thing. It's which is kind of, it puts it in the back of your mind. It's like a game that I've always had in my mind, but because I don't see it everywhere and it's not mentioned a lot, I've just kind of forgotten about it. It's like, oh yeah, that one.
I'll send you a picture of my shelf so it's right at the top of your head. Everybody email Barry your shelf with Sagrada on it at ominousbarry@gmail.com.
Oh no.
All three people will email you.
I'm sure Trent will.
All right, you're number 3.
Yay! This is the greatest game in my collection. And people are going to probably say that I am biased due to the fact that I worked on the soundtrack. The Seventh Continent.
Yeah, I knew you were going to do this.
Yeah, well,
why
can
not?
I say? Why not? It is a game that I just adore because it's an open world sandbox where you can do all of these actions: climb, dig, craft, spot, jump, just be discreet, play music, rest, give, lots of things that you can do during the course of the game. And it's as I said, it's an open world sandbox where you're going to be exploring a map which is placed out with cards, and there's story due to the fact that you're going to be cursed, and each curse has you going to different locations on this island. So you're playing the same game over and over again on the same island, but you've got different objectives, and it may sound a bit boring like that, but it's like a choose your own adventure book. But on your tabletop, it's all card driven. So you're going to be having a deck of cards, which is your life energy. And it's also your ideas and things that you can make. And every time you do something, you're going to exert energy. So you're going to have to draw from this deck. And these cards will go into your hand. And then you can use them, as I said, because they have ideas on them of how to construct a raft. If you get to the right location and there's the resources in that location, you can build that raft pretty cheaply. But if you decide to build it where there's no resources, it's going to cost you more energy, and then you're going to burn through this deck. And basically, when you burn through the deck, there's a chance that the curse is going to bite you in the butt and kill you and end your game. It's I can't explain it more than that. It's an open world. If you've played Skyrim, you know what I'm talking about. It's just this universe with everything created around it, and you'll go to a tree and you'll see a hole in the tree, and there's a little icon which says that you can examine the tree, and you may examine the tree, and it will tell you to take a card. But the thing is, this card has 3 of the same number. Well, there's 3 cards with the same number. It says take card 495. And there's 3 cards in the deck, 495. And so you have to choose which one of them. So there might be something good in the tree, and there might be something bad in the tree. There might be something else. And every time you play, only one of those will come up. And so you have this kind of living in world and randomly generating world. So it's never going to be the same, even though you're playing the same map over and over again. It's just one of those games that I can just pop on the table when I'm feeling like I need an adventure and there's nobody wants to play with me, and the electricity's gone out, so I can't play Skyrim. So, yeah, this is a game which...
It has a really robust solo mode, right?
Yeah, it works primarily as a solo game. The cooperativeness of the game is a bit hard to come by due to the fact that the team can split up and the team can do actions in any order that they wish, but it can get a bit chaotic when one person's going this way and spending lots of energy that way, and you know that you want to go this way because you believe that the way to get over the curse is this way. So you can have like little arguments in your team, but it's best to stay together and very rarely split up, or very rarely help each other do something, because sometimes you might all become fatigued, or you might all become poisoned, and then all these things just burden up on you, and it becomes harder for you, and you burn through the energy deck pretty quickly. But then you need to play this game over and over again. This is a game about memory, because it's basically, the story is that you've been to this island before, you've come back home, and you're cursed. And then you go to bed in your own home, and you wake up back on the island, and you've got to get rid of the curse. And so this kind of like Groundhog Day sensation, you're doing the same thing over and over again, but you're learning where everything is. You're learning where the best place to hunt monsters are. You're learning where these idols are. You're learning where these legendary creatures are that you've got to hunt if you've got that curse, or you're learning how to get around the maze if you've got that curse. And it's just a grand adventure that you can have on your own or with a couple of friends. But
we played the first time that I played this, we played this cooperatively, and Kai, our friend Kai, taught us the game. He owned it, and we did use your soundtrack. And honestly, for me, that was the best thing about the experience, was listening to that soundtrack while we were doing things, because it was so cool. And then the fact that not only that it was done so well, I mean, it's so professionally, it's just very immersive and really added a lot. Sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't. In this case, I thought it really did. But when I looked at the box and all of those cards, I was overwhelmed. And it wasn't until about the third or fourth turn, cooperative games aren't my thing anyway.
All right.
And after about the third or fourth turn, I was starting to get what my role and what to do in here. But it was kind of like, no, do this, being told what I needed to do so that the whole team could maximize our resources, blah, blah, blah. And so it's like, I just feel like somebody's telling me what to do, and I did it. But it was hard for me to wrap my head around that game. There's no way I would have been able to teach that game. And the complexity seems fairly heavy to me.
It's not a game that you can jump into straight away. It does take a lot to get into, but it's like learning how to do a Sudoku. You're like, why is these numbers like this? And it's like, okay, if I put that number there, okay, I screwed that one up. Let's do another puzzle. Okay. And it's this learning procedure. So for me, it's like a Sudoku. So if I got 2 hours free, I'll sit down for 2 hours and continue my adventure. And your adventure may go on for many, many hours, but you have this save game kind of mechanism. So you can save your location and then replay. You can draw maps if you wish to remember where things are, which I haven't done because I want to rely on the old grey matter, which is not very reliable. So it's just one of these games that I just kind of fall in love with. And
well, I know people love this game, and it's beautiful. I mean, the art it's beautiful, and I did feel the adventure. So I think that's really cool. It's probably just not my particular. I don't like to play games by myself and play solo. So and the amount of effort to learn it would be a little beyond me. So
yeah. And the only bad thing about it is game can become convoluted with all the expansions in. The base game itself works really, really well. But it's a case of maybe not playing with all the expansions because, the weather interfering with these floating balloon things and these giant sandworms from Dune and can really kind of frustrate you. It's like, I just want a simple creature to kill so I can eat it. But anyway.
Well, my number 3, is a very personal thing to me. It's kind of like family. You know what I mean? It's a game that when did I ever refuse an accommodation?
When you weren't allowed in Gloomhaven.
Gloomhaven. This has got a very negative sound to it. It sounds gloomy.
Maybe Spirit Island. That sounds a bit more spirited.
My third game. I love this game. I love the theme of the game. Personally, I think it's highly underrated. The game is The Godfather, Corleone's Empire. The Godfather series is one of my favorite movie series of all time. I rate it right up there with some really top movies. When this game came out, and that they actually, Cool Mini or Not, CMON did this particular game, and this is an Eric Lang design game. It's worker placement. You're trying to take care of these boroughs. You're going to get points if you control those boroughs. You're going to send your thugs out. You're going to send your leader out. You're going to be able to acquire new leaders that are going to give you special powers. You're going to get these cards, and you're going to be able to shake down some of these businesses. But if you have the right scenario, you get to go through the back of the building and get extra things. And it has tokens like Ethnos, where these tokens stack. So over the different rounds of the game, it actually increases the control markers, who has control. At the end of the game, there's certain victory points. You also have these really super cool little canisters, little briefcases, they call them, but there's these little tins, like an Altoid tin. And this is where you keep your money. But people can get your money. And sometimes you have to use your money to bid against to get the new leader. Maybe you want the mayor, or you want the police chief, whatever. And these are going to help your syndicate, and they're going to help you do things, give you more actions, if you will. The miniatures are all super cool. There's the tin with the money in it, and all these different denominations. It's cards, stocks, size, money. But at the end of the game, basically, you're going to get a lot of points for all that. The miniatures are cool. I think you could, I felt the theme a lot because of so many of the different action cards. You could get one of the car bombs, and you get points, and you're collecting resources, whether you're going to get a vial, or you're going to get a knife, or you're going to get a machine gun. And there's a bit of a mechanism there where you're getting these cards. I don't know how many times we've played this game, 5 or 6 times. I haven't played it for a while. Every time, we just love it. And we jump into character, immediately. And that's so much fun. So Rick is here. We're almost done. Good to see you, Rick, buddy, old pal.
Bye, Rick.
I can't remember if Rick came over one time. Rick lives a couple hours from us, or hour and a half or so from us, but he's been to my home before, and he's a cousin of a good friend of mine that lives in our community. And I can't remember if we played Godfather or not, Rick. But love the game. It's readily available still, I believe. A lot of people were reviewing this game, and it got good reviews, I thought. But for some reason didn't become a big hit seller. All of a sudden, I don't know if CMON thought it was going to be really huge like some of their other IPs, and they overproduced, because it seemed like there was overabundance of product on the market, and then you saw it being sold off for really low dollar amount. I don't think that's indicative of how good this game is. This game is really good. I love it. I think it's a really good game.
Cool.
That's The Godfather, Corleone's Empire by CMON.
Sweet. A gangster game. I was just thinking we could look quickly at those games. Like so. 7th Continent is 49th on BGG. Azul is 57th. And then we had all the other games which are right down the bottom. Godfather is there at 352.
There's just page after page of games. There's so many games I could have selected on this list too, but I grabbed some of them that are some of my favorites that I really feel are evergreen. But I'm sure I can, when we do the circle, I'll be able to come back with 3 more that I think are evergreen.
Oh, yeah. No problems. I've got another 3 already. No problems there. And
well, this was super fun going through, actually talking about games and really getting into some of these favorite games that we've played in the past and that we think are going to have the test of time. They're going to stay on the shelf and they're going to get played.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Again, I'm inspired to play, it's Photosynthesis. That's the one. Thanks for telling me.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we want to, these Woods of Evergreen, we're going to try to do at least one of these a month here. Of course, last year things got a little weird for Barry and I to be able to put out as many of these as we want, but we'll be doing the full circle and going back to probably year 2000 and finding games from that time era. I think we started out with 2004?
Yeah.
So maybe we'll go back a couple more years just to add a little freshness to it and be able to continually go through this series of just different games that we think are reasonably evergreen type of games. And as time passes, we get to play more of these games sometimes too, and that we maybe didn't play when they first came out.
Yeah, that's the best thing about it, is playing these games again after a long pause, and seeing if we still love it.
Right. I know my friends at Blue Peg, Pink Peg, they do a re-roll segment, and they do their little re-roll song, and then they talk about games that they've played before, and if they still rate it the way they rate it. And I think that's kind of a fun thing to do. But we want to thank our sponsors. We have Arcane Wonders, who's got some great products for sale for Christmas. You can go to arcanewonders.com. They have the Four Gardens game, and they have Smartphone, Aquatica, Volcanic Island. They have quite a few of these, Land, Air, and Sea. Their hit game Furnace and Picture Perfect that you can go and check out. And some of those you can pre-order. Some of them you can get at severe discounts right now at arcanewonders.com. And of course, Game Toppers is your sponsor of the Berkey and Badger show. And of course, I own Game Toppers. And I'll make it really quick. Sales have been, people are loving the Game Toppers. They're getting their Game Toppers. We're about 60% done with fulfillment. We hope to be about 80% done by the end of the year. And then there'll be some things coming out following next year. And then in end of first quarter, early second quarter into Europe. So you can still late pledge and get some amazing deals with our packages for Game Toppers. Saves you hundreds of dollars. So you can go to GameToppersLLC.com and you can hit late pledge. If you want to get some of our in-stock product that we've already fulfilled, like our accessories and some of our game mats, you can go to shop.gametoppersllc.com. That's our Shopify store. That stuff goes out in 2 to 3 days. So if you just want to get a gaming mat, or you want to get some cup holders if you're already an existing customer, or some dice towers, things of that nature, you'll see all of the things there. So check those out at GameToppersLLC.com. And with that, Barry, I think you can send us out.
Thanks for watching, everyone. Speak to you later. Bye. We're so glad we had this time together. Now it's time to go. It won't be long until we have another show. So keep us in mind, get online. Berkey and Badger will be back in no time.